The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Another week of Jets OTAs is in the books. There's a lot of storylines to discuss. Plus, the Jets will have several practices open to the media later this week. And I met Aaron Rodgers last night at UFC 302. Lot to break down. It's the Jake Asman Show. So let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed for a historic season. We bleed Jets green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jets bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go, Jets fans. Welcome in, everybody. Hope everyone is having a fantastic Sunday so far. A lot to get into. And joining us right now to help me talk all things New York Jets is one of my good friends in the business. You can hear him on Mad Dog Sports Radio. He is a Connecticut native, a huge New York Jets fan. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Meltser joins the show. Mike, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Jake, good morning. How are you?
You know, I'm tired, Mike. I was at UFC last night, and, I texted you. I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to do this around 10 a.m. And then I texted you this morning. I'm like, we're going to have to delay the start here because I was out late. But before I left the building last night after an epic fight card, I did finally get a chance to meet Aaron Rodgers leaving the Prudential Center last night. So I won't disclose the full conversation. It was a very brief interaction, but I'm glad I could finally meet Aaron in person. And I wished him luck. I wished him good health because let's be real. The New York Jets season is firmly in the hands of the guy who was touching my right shoulder last night, Mike.
Is that photo going to go up on some wall in your abode at some point? Is that going to happen? When is that going to happen? Let me alter the question.
It's a great question. You know, that I don't know. I don't want to jinx anything, man. You know, but I will say this. Aaron was very
What
cool.
is there to jinx at this point? Is there any jinx to be had?
That's right. I don't know. What could
There's
really
no
go wrong
jinx.
at this point? I mean, it already has gone wrong. Nah, but it was awesome, man. And, definitely very cool of Aaron to stop, take a picture. He was with Mercedes Lewis. So anyone who saw UFC.
That's right.
Saw them sitting together. So, the next step is to get Aaron on the show. But, let's put it like this. He was an awesome dude. So I'm hoping one day we can make that happen.
I like it.
All right. Lot to get into with you, Mike. First time I've had you on the show, I think, since the start of the Jet offseason. So we'll do some big picture stuff with you, and also we'll talk about the latest with Jet OTAs. But I'd be remiss if we did not start this show by acknowledging a massive membership gift from one of the enemies of the program. Alan has gifted 20 channel memberships, all because, get this, he hates the New York Rangers and the Rangers lost. So he promised 20 memberships if that were to happen. Alan, I despise you, but thank you. I'm just kidding. If you hear your name called, thank Alan. Here we go. Big Zeus, Mark Goldstein, TJ Buttergurett, Rock Benz, Ryan Harbach, Deshanti Thomas, Justin Sports, Fab Five, Benny from the Bronx, Joni Rozier, H. Minau, Zach Holmes, Stephen James, All Stare, Still Go, Joe Cool NYC, Weed the People, Little Hip, AC, Chris Havern, Balloon Booch 492. You are all officially channel members. But wait, that's not all. We have more. 5 memberships from M. King, who gifted 5 to the following: Dan the Man, Raw Power, NYJ, KY Keith, Dennis Moore, Brooklyn Jets. Thank you, M. King. And also M. King with a super chat. He's feeling mighty generous this morning. Jake heading to church. We'll listen after, but wanted to say great show on Mad Dog yesterday. I was the caller before Bobby Midnight with the 14-3 Jets guarantee. Hashtag Jet Up. M King, excellent call yesterday. Appreciate you listening, and that truly means a lot. Let's use this super chat to start things off, Mike. 14-3 New York Jets. What say you?
I think that's asking a lot. I think that is asking very much. I mean, put it this way. If someone, what's the number for you where you'd sign for it right now? Would it be 10 or does it have to be 11? If you sign for it right now.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Is 10 enough to guarantee them a playoff spot?
That's
I think
the issue.
You have to start with make the playoffs because that's the minimum, like the bare minimum for this team for sure. But I don't know if 10 is enough to win the AFC East. If you tell me it's enough to at least be a wild card, I think just given the uncertainty with Aaron coming off his injury, some of the other key players on this team being reliant on staying healthy, we still don't truly know how good of a head coach Robert Salah is. I think every Jet fan should sign for 10, but I think they could be better than 10 if they could just get decent health, mainly with, of course, Aaron at quarterback. I think they need 11 to guarantee the AFC East. It was enough last year. I think Miami and Buffalo have not gotten better this offseason, whereas the Jets have improved by just Aaron Rodgers being here and having a real backup in Tyrod. So I think it's a great question, Mike. I think if you could guarantee 10, you have to sign for that if you're a Jet fan, but you might need 11 to guarantee the division.
Yeah, you would have to sign for a situation that gives you the win total that guarantees you a playoff spot, because as everybody listening or watching right now knows, it's been 14 long years. But you cannot sign for a win total where you're not sure you're going to make the playoffs, given everything that is on the line this season. And this team is as all in as really any team in football in 2024. So I would consider myself right now sort of like a extremely like cautious level of optimism. I'm sure I'm not quite at the Jake Asman level. That I can guarantee you, because I've been bitten many times in these last 14 years.
Totally get it. But here would be my thing, right? When you just break down the state of the Jets, if the only thing we could say is if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, right? That's really the biggest thing. Tyron Smith, sure, to a lesser extent. Then they have a damn good team. You know what I mean? Like the only things people say that knock the Jets right now is like Darius Rucker. You're the Jets. Like LOL Jets. And basically if Aaron could stay healthy, and it's like, yeah, that's obviously a big if. He's 40 coming off this injury, but I can tell you he looks like he's in great shape. Everyone's saying he's fully back. The only positive, if there is such a thing from this devastating injury, is it happened in week 1. So he had a true full year to recover and be ready to go. He's not a guy that has a history of injury. So if you're just saying LOL Jets and, if Aaron can stay healthy, like, yeah, obviously that's a big if with Aaron, but man, I'll bet on Aaron Rodgers over a lot of other quarterbacks in the league. Like, they have a damn good roster, at least on paper, going into the year is how you got to look at it.
I think that's really the selling point, that whenever I see some of the, harsher critiques that I see, and honestly, like the people who were saying it doesn't even register with me. I mean, you probably have like a list of everybody who said everything, but
one of them is your best friend. Let's expose Mike Meltser right away. Mike Meltser, Nick Wright, best friends, college friends at Nick Wright's wedding. We don't like Nick Wright on the show. He's Nick wrong, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. I know he's been very negative about them. And whenever I see the extreme negativity, I immediately default to what you mentioned, which is, hey, if you look at this team, almost everybody agrees, like across the country, that they have a very good defense, a lot of talent on defense. They had some changes there, but it was a very good defense, even the last 2 years with bad quarterback play. And you take this team that had bottom 3 quarterback play the last couple of seasons, especially in 2023. Like, if all you do is just plug in Rodgers, he stays reasonably healthy. And even if he's like, above average, forget about like elites or being very good, just being above the average quarterback in the NFL, which would represent a huge leap from the last couple of seasons. You would think that team at absolute minimum would be contending for the playoffs. So when I see some of the doom and gloom based on like, Jets, last 14 years, everything that's gone on, like the nonsense, I understand it spiritually, but if you just look at it on paper, when you combine the defense with theoretically much better quarterback play, and they had these additions like Tyron Smith, like Mike Williams, we'll see about the health of some of these guys, Breece Hall off the ACL year 2, like, even with my questions about Robert Salah, like that should be a very competitive football team. Like that's the kind of team that just on paper, on any given Sunday, so to speak, should have a chance to beat any team in football. A chance, just with that.
100%. If you're tuned in live right now, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everyone who's tuned in to the show here on a Sunday morning. Mike, I think when you really kind of look at what the Jets have going for them as well, I think a lot of it is like the division around them, right? Like New England's in a rebuild right now, which is great to say. I hope the Jets smash them twice when they play. But Buffalo, they might still have the best quarterback in the division in Josh Allen, but the rest of their team, major question marks after the offseason they have had. The Dolphins, it's funny, everyone wants to talk about Aaron Rodgers staying healthy. A year ago at this time, you couldn't talk about the Dolphins' chances without saying if Tua stays healthy. And ironically, he's one of the few starters last year that actually made it through the entire season. They also have proven to this point they can't win in cold weather. Tua's never won a game below 45 degrees. They went 1-5 against teams with a winning record last year. So, like, if you just look at the rest of the division, the fact that the Jets don't play a first or a second place schedule, to me, that alone, plus Rodgers back, there's no excuse for the Jets to not be relevant for winning this division. And at the bare minimum, as we said at the top of this discussion, they have to be a playoff team. But I want something bigger than that. I want a home playoff game. I want a division title, because if not now, then when? Like, this is maybe their best chance at it with this group. You're going to have to start paying some of the guys from that 2022 draft class next year. Aaron would be another year older a year from now. Like, this, in theory, is their best shot at least winning the division in the regular season.
Yes, and I do feel a little better about the division. Obviously, the Jets have a lot to prove, but Buffalo, you think, has gotten worse. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think they got rid of Diggs probably for them at the exact right time. Miami is a team that I'm interested in because you kind of wonder, Jake, like maybe their best chance was last season in a way, because now people are getting more expensive. Like Tyreek Hill gets paid a lot of money, and their rumblings he wants a new deal. They paid Jalen Waddle this week a whole lot of money, and I get why they did it. He's a fantastic player. But that team keeps getting more expensive. They have this looming Tua decision, and I don't think anybody believes that Tua is anywhere close to like a top 5 or 7 quarterback in football. And I just wonder if Miami's best chance ultimately in this cycle, and I like their head coach, is if they had been able to stay healthy and played like they did in the first half of last season. But I wonder if they're going to kind of like muddle through here for a while, because they have a good head coach. They have a solid quarterback. They have a lot of weapons, but like they lost Christian Wilkins. Like I don't know that they're getting better from last season. So that does make me feel better. Patriots, will see. Mayo, like, people have said great things about him, but they're just starting from such a low place from a pure roster standpoint. I mean, they always worry me because it's that uniform and it's still the Patriots, even without Belichick. And so I think about that Thursday night game in week 3, and I'm still kind of like, it's the Pats, short week, that kind of thing. But yes, it is clear the division is more manageable this season.
Well,
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. And I think, the other thing to kind of look at too with the Patriots in particular, thank God they won that game at the end of the regular season last year. I know Belichick's not there anymore, but imagine, like, God forbid this Jets team is 0-2 going into that must-win home opener Thursday night, all the pressure, and it's a 15-game losing streak they bring in against New England. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to worry about that now. Like, the focus will be on just winning that game and not all the extra stuff that comes with that losing streak. So, like, everyone's saying, oh, you got to tank, you got a better draft pick because you're not going to end up with either Alt or Fashanu. Well, guess what? Not only did they end up with Fashanu, but they could have had him at 10. They traded back a spot, got extra picks, and still got him anyway. So I just go back to that game, and I think low key, it's great that they sent Belichick off with an L, and obviously they don't have to deal with that Patriot streak at all when they play them this year.
Yeah, it's always weird with those because, there are times where, like, you lose that last game or 2 and it really makes a huge difference. In this case, Jake, as you mentioned, it doesn't seem like for the Jets it really made a huge difference. Like, I'd have to go, and I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but like if they had lost that game, where they would have fallen to. I mean, I guess from Joe Douglas's standpoint, because it seemed like they love Rome Odunze, maybe they would have taken Rome Odunze and done the offseason a little bit differently had they lost that football game. But I think there's a lot to what you said. I do think for the Jets, the fan base, the organization, there was something psychologically to finally beating the Patriots to where you don't have to bring that losing streak into 2024.
Last night, when I was with Aaron Rodgers, Mike, we discussed many things, including Robert Salah being more involved with the offense. I'm just kidding. That actually did not happen. But Aaron did tell our mutual friend, our coworker, Mr. Adam Shine, also on Mad Dog Sports Radio, that Salah has indeed been more involved in the offense so far in the meeting room, OTAs. He's had some suggestions. What do you make of that? Is that just Rodgers trying to maybe like be a good guy and kind of back his coach? Or do you think Robert Saleh, as a defensive mind, can actually have a positive influence on the Jet offense?
So I believe that is true. I mean, Salah's obviously coaching for his job. If you or I were in Salah's position and we were fighting for our lives, you'd probably try to do anything and everything in your power to at least, okay, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out on my terms and kind of put my feelers on every, elements of the football team. I'm just not really sure like what it practically means. I mean, Rodgers is functionally to me the offensive coordinator, which I normally don't like, but in this case I prefer because of who the actual offensive coordinator is. And really the only thing for a defensive minded coach like Robert Saleh, him being more involved in the offense to me is really twofold. Would be fourth down decisions, mainly that, and just critical decisions at key points in football games. Like, what's your overall philosophy? Parcells, when he took over in '97, I thought was very well known for like being aggressive with those fourth down decisions and not kicking, not punting, but being aggressive. So from that standpoint, maybe Saleh has his tentacles more in the offense, but I don't know. Like, if you're asking me like from a scheme standpoint, is he like influencing kind of like what the passing game install is or what the run pass balance is? Is that Robert Saleh's purview? I mean, he is the head coach, so anything can be his purview, but that's not really his expertise based on his, football resume, essentially. So I don't know exactly what to make of it. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I just want a good offense. It's been a long time since we've seen a good watchable offense.
I mean, that's really the bottom line. And I think, honestly, because the Jets have been so bad, and say whatever you want about Zach Wilson, in the brief primetime games the Jets had at the beginning of the year, they did beat the Bills, so people probably think, oh, Zach wasn't terrible that night. Meanwhile, he wasn't great, but they did win. The game against the Chiefs, he had probably his best 2-quarter stretch of his career. Maybe you can argue the Texans game, but that wasn't a primetime game. And they beat the Eagles in one of the most watched games of the year last year. So I think nationally, there was this perception, 7-10, it's the Jets. They screwed up Zach Wilson. It kind of is what it is. But it was so much worse than I think a lot of people besides this fan base even realize. It's why I keep coming back to the fact that they've proven the last 2 years that their floor with this talent level is 7 wins with no quarterback. And now you have Aaron Rodgers being backed up by a legitimate backup, a guy who's probably better than a lot of the starters in this league. Like Tyrod Taylor to me is a top 25 quarterback in the league, and he's now your backup. If Aaron Rodgers has a conventional quarterback injury, like he has a sprained ankle, God forbid, and has to miss 3 games, you could picture a scenario where Tyrod Taylor would go 2-1, and that might be the difference in whether or not you make the playoffs right there or win the division. And they're just better equipped to handle injuries, not just to Aaron, but Tyron Smith's backed up by Fashanu. They have Corley now in here. Mike Williams is in here. Alan Lazard ideally is your 4th receiver if he's even on this team where he's healthy and active. They're just, to me, way better equipped to handle disastrous scenarios than they have been the last couple of years.
I think they've had an adult offseason. Not that last year's was not, but I think this year was an offseason where it's clear that not just 2024 was in their goals, so to speak. And I understand they made some signings like Tyron Smith, like Mike Williams, that are more about this season than 2025 or certainly 2026. But I think it fits with kind of it's the proper risk to take. And the Fashanu pick over Brock Bowers to me is really a symbol of, hey, we're not just going to we're going to do the thing that is for the best interest of the franchise long term and not just for the 2024 regular season. There are some things that you can have issues with, like you let Bryce Huff walk and he gets a lot of money from Philadelphia. But that to me is more of an extension of a mistake that would have been made last offseason as opposed to just looking at it in, from February to March of 2024. I generally like the offseason. I was intrigued by, some of these draft picks, especially Corley in the 3rd round. We'll see what happens with Kinlaw. Seemed like they paid him a decent amount of money. We'll see how the Reddick Huff, swap, if you will, is going to ultimately work out. But I don't think they did anything crazy in the offseason, and they approached it in a way that seemed like it was professional, adult, and logical for the position that they're in, that there's so much riding on this season, and yet you cannot, as a franchise, act like 2024 is the only season you're ever going to have.
Did you say Brock Bowers?
I did.
Did somebody say Brock Bowers?
That one was just for the hardcore Asmaniacs, Mike.
I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah, if Gary calls in, I'll introduce you too. He's in your state. but I don't know if you want to meet Gary. He's a little weird.
Okay.
He doesn't believe that chicken and pasta go together. And
That's an intriguing take.
He also said that he would rather have gas station pizza than any item from McDonald's, Wendy's, or Burger King.
Well, I guess if you don't like that kind of food, then I think it's a viable opinion. I suppose. I haven't really had if you tell me that there is good gas station pizza, I would believe it. Like,
would you?
I would from certain. I mean, there are some nice gas stations. You and I have been to some nice gas stations, right? But you got to find the right one.
That is true.
You got to find the right one for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Mike Meltser, longtime sports radio host. He's now on Mad Dog Sports Radio. He did morning radio in Houston for nearly a decade. He's from Connecticut. He's a huge Jet fan. Him and Steve Gelbs are best friends. They love the Jets. And Mike Meltser was in the building for the coldest Jets game ever. Win and you're in against the Cincinnati Bengals. The last ever game at Giant Stadium in 2009. We'll never forget it.
God, I still think I'm recovering from the cold. not even at the game. The worst was actually tailgating in the parking lot before. that was rougher than anything I experienced at Syracuse. I think that was tricky.
Super chat from Green Empire Lawn Care. We'll take some calls coming up. I want to get Mike's thoughts on the schedule too before we open it up. This one is from Green Empire Lawn Care. Jake, what do you do if we are the 1 seed? Do I wake up from the dream? Like, how long can I keep that going? I mean, just a world where the Jets are the 1 seed. Could you imagine a first-round bye? Oh, my God.
Well, especially now with only one bye. 2
playoff games at home to get to the Super Bowl. That's what being the 1 seed does for you now with only 1 bye. I mean, look, I think they could win the division, which to me, like, you sign for that in a nanosecond if you're a Jet fan. But if they're the 1 seed and they have a path where they're playing 2 games in the cold at Jet Life to get to a Super Bowl, like, that's the path. If realistically they're going to do it, they've never had a home AFC championship game since the merger. Like the 68 championship game for the AFL, that's pre-merger, obviously. Like, every time the Jets have been in the AFC title game, whether it's 82, 98, 09, or 10, they have been on the road. Fireman Ed's talked about this on the show. There's just no way the Jets could lose a home AFC title game. The crowd won't let them. So it's like, that's the path, but I can't even fathom that given what we've watched the last 13 seasons without the playoffs.
I mean, what is it now? 20 years since a home playoff game?
Yep.
Is it 20? 20. Indianapolis? Do I have that right?
41-0. Yeah.
Yeah. 20 years. It gets weird in your life. Like, you'll get to this point where you remember distinctly things that happened 20 years ago. It's really crazy.
The pain, as Joe B would say, who came on
That was
the
a
show.
fun night, though. That was a fun day.
Yeah. Pittsburgh Mike writes in, the floor is 10, the ceiling's 13. Let's call it a 12-5 winning the division. I think if Aaron's healthy and still plays like a top 10 quarterback with this roster, 12-5 is definitely on the table. Because I don't think the schedule is brutal, and we'll get to that here in a moment. And I just think if they've won 7 the last 2 years, if you tell me they get top 10 quarterback play, I think that's 5 more wins. That's reasonable.
Yeah, I think the floor being 10 is a little optimistic in the sense that, Vegas, they have the Jets right now, 9.5?
Yeah.
So I would say the floor.
Oh. Mike, I think your mic got disconnected. I thought it was me at first, but they threw you on mute real quick. They don't want you to talk about the Jets going 12-5 is what's clearly happening here. There's just too much positivity. Hit the mute button right down below. You see that mic icon bottom left? There you go.
How is this?
There you go. You're back.
All right. I'm back.
I thought we went full PTI there where the mute button was hit by Tony Reale.
I don't know what the last thing you heard me say, but basically I think, 8 or 9, to me, 8 or 9 would be the realistic floor. But yes, everything goes well. 12 wins. I could see it if all goes well.
Mike Meltser is our guest here, Jet fans. Hit the like button. If you're just tuning in, we'll take some of your calls coming up on our Gusbuster hotline. I want to plug the Patreon because today is the last day to sign up for my Patreon. If you're interested in a group buy, discounted ticket, $135, lower bowl seat, tailgate at L5 before the game, Thursday Night Football, Jets, Texans, Halloween evening, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Message me on Patreon or the Discord to reserve your spot. Need to give the Jets a head count. You're not going to find a better deal. The reason why the tickets are as cheap as they are to sit in the lower bowl is because listener Matthew Volpe has been a long-time season ticket holder. He is an Asmaniac, and we're using his group discount rate to get all these tickets from the Jets. We're working on pregame field access too. So the more people we get, the more likely it is to be able to pull that off. So if you want to join us for the group outing for Jets Texans, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Of course, you get all the perks on Patreon. You support me away from YouTube, and you get access to the Discord. Speaking of the Texans, Mike, you, of course, are based in Houston. What was the reaction to the fact that the Texans have to come to MetLife on a short week for Thursday Night Football? A lot of Jet fans don't like the fact that the Jets have 2 Thursday night games. I'd argue if you're going to play Thursday Night Football, at least you're at home for both of them. Week 3, the home opener against the Patriots, and obviously the game I just mentioned, that Texans matchup, Halloween night in Week 9 of the season.
So my sense of the reaction has been people in Houston are just excited to be back on national TV, which has not really been the case much since the COVID year of 2020. And obviously people know that's going to be a difficult game because it's on the road. I mean, heck, the Texans were much better than the Jets, and they got smoked by them very randomly last year, where Zach Wilson played very well in that second half. So I think people in Houston are mostly just looking forward to seeing their team on the national TV spotlight. But with Rodgers, that's obviously going to be a difficult test. And as from a Jets standpoint, I agree with you. I know a lot has been made of the 3 games in whatever it is, 10 or 11 days to begin the season. But at least you have that, home opener against the Patriots. And then I don't necessarily love playing with an older quarterback, twice on Thursdays. But if you have to do it, then I guess the way it's set up and playing both at home, I will live with, is my sense on that.
When you look at the beginning of the year, now, obviously you're playing a lot of, games early, but that's when you, in theory, should be rested and healthy. Like if you're going to play the Niners, tell me if I'm wrong. I'd rather play them week 1 than week 13 when they could be rolling by then. Like to me, if you're going to play the Niners, one, it's a non-conference opponent. You get it out of the way. And then after that, okay, no one's going to pick the Jets to win that night. They're already a 5.5 point underdog. If they lose, it's Rodgers versus Will Levis week 2. It's Rodgers versus Brissett or Drake May, a rookie, in week 3. It's Rodgers versus Bo Nix or Zach Wilson or Jared Stidham in week 4. Then it's Rodgers versus potentially Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy, your guy. You love your Michigan Wolverines, week 5. Like, in theory, I could see a 4-1 start for the Jets going into that October 14th Monday night showdown at home against Buffalo.
I think the big question is, from a player standpoint, how big of a deal is the travel from in San Francisco on September 9th to having to fly back, practice a couple days, and then fly to Nashville, not a super long flight, obviously, and then play them on that Sunday. That to me would be the key question. Like how big of a deal is that from a player standpoint? Because they, in theory, they are favored right now to win those 2 games. I imagine week 2 and week 3.
The Jets are favorites in 14 of their 17 games right now.
I was not aware of that fully because I haven't looked at all the lines, but that is a little surprising to me, but it does give you a sense, like relating to what we were talking about like 20 minutes ago, talking about, the floor and why some people in the national media are so negative. Like that is counterbalanced by those lines, which are as objective as you can possibly get. So I do worry about the idea opening the season 3 games in 11 days. But if they can swing that first turnaround, I don't think Tennessee should be that good this season. And while the pressure will be on them against the Patriots, I don't think it's a very strong Patriots team. Obviously, they should be 2-1. I don't love opening in San Francisco because, considering kind of like the overall mental state of the fan base and everything, I'd like to get off to a 1-0 start. And you're facing maybe the best team in football. I don't love that, but it is what it is at this point.
I mean, some of the highlights of the schedule: home opener, Thursday Night Football, our London game. Mike, you and I were in Dallas together last year. Are we going across the pond together for Jets, Vikings, October 6th in London?
Have you been to London?
No, I've never been, but I definitely plan on going.
So you plan on going to this?
I do. Yeah. If you
Okay,
want in,
good.
let me know. I'm planning a big Asmaniac meetup with shout out to Jets Forever too and his people out there helping me out.
Let me you know what? Let me think about this. Actually, I haven't like fully thought. I will think about this because I've been to London. It's great.
Well, okay. I definitely need you, man. I need someone with some London experience, man. I need someone who
experience is overstating it, but that's fair.
There's a big language barrier there, I hear.
That's a language barrier. That's right. Yes. And that it was interesting how they chose not to take the bye right that early in the season so they could have it for week number 12. And I understand why they did it because it's early in the season. they'll have an extra day before the Buffalo game. But that is something in combination with the 3 games in 11 days that I'm intrigued to see how they'll handle from a just injury, rest, body standpoint.
Yeah, I think it makes sense though, right? Because I'd rather the bye be late in the year, because you got to look at it like this. Like, yes, Thursday Night Football, it's tough. It's a short week, but then you get the mini bye basically after. You get 10 days to prepare for your next opponent. And both their Thursday night games, they're home. Like, that's a big deal. Like, that certainly helps when it comes to, the preparation standpoint. And then the 10 days off in between, I rather that. If you look at it like a mini bye, they basically have a Thursday night game set up at like the quarter point of like each area of their season. Week 3, week 9, week 12, they get some time off. I think all things considered, it's not a brutal schedule from like a team standpoint. The travel could be difficult at times, but like I'm not using the schedule as an excuse. Like, if this team can't find a way to be at least a playoff team and win a playoff game, they got to seriously consider changes here. I mean, they play in Florida. They play the Dolphins and Jaguars back-to-back weeks in December. The heat will not be a factor then. You look at Dolphins' last game of the year. If you're going to play them, you want them in your building in the cold in January. Like, I don't know. Anything less than this team, bare minimum, making the playoffs, they got to make serious changes. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, you have your head coach in year 4, your general manager in year 5. Rodgers now, I know he didn't have a season last year, but he is back and theoretically healthy. We'll see how it shakes out. But yes, again, I know it's not all on this regime because of the number of years, but it's been 14 years. These guys have had that opportunity. They have a lot of talent on this roster. It's a manageable schedule with some challenges, but guess what? Other teams have the same exact thing. They just have some different problems than what you have. Like, at minimum, as you mentioned off the top, this team has to make the playoffs. They have to make the playoffs. It's really that simple. I mean, I had you on my show when I did that show after Black Friday after that debacle against Miami. And I think about that show from time to time because I went on the air and I was like, listen, I'm not saying that this is something that they have to do, but if I were the owner, I would get rid of my coach and general manager tomorrow. That's how bad that performance was. That was a fireable offense. Now, obviously, he did not do that, but I'm just putting this in perspective here.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like both GM and coach have their jobs right now because Aaron Rodgers got hurt on the 4th play of the season. Like, last year was supposed to be the make the playoffs or we're making changes here, and it was basically nullified because they did win 7 games with no quarterback, but I mean, just Douglas not having a better backup in place was a fireable offense, in my opinion, but he gets a pass. And everyone, that's the other thing I want to talk about with you before we wrap with you, Mike. Like, this idea that, Joe Douglas is untouchable and it's all Robert Saleh's fault. When I look at it, like, they, to me, should be attached at the hip. 1, Douglas hired Salah. And 2, the biggest reason why this team has failed to make the playoffs the last 2 years has been the quarterback situation, which Douglas drafted Zach Wilson. Fine. No GM is going to hit on every quarterback. It's an inexact science. Just see Kyle Shanahan trading 3 1s for Trey Lance, and Brock Purdy is his starting quarterback as Mr. Irrelevant. But 2, he failed to do anything to get a legitimate backup after Aaron went down. And this is not even a second guess. I said it all last year after the Rodgers deal. I did not want Zach Wilson as the backup. I wanted someone else. So, like, that to me, I guess, is what's frustrating. It's like some fans are like, well, no, Douglas has to stay. Look at the team. Salah should be the one to go. And it's like, well, you do realize Douglas then would get to pick another quarterback. Maybe he'd get to pick another head coach, and the team has not sniffed the playoffs yet. Like, that doesn't jive with me. So your thoughts on just the dynamic between Douglas and Salah going into this year?
In this day and age in the NFL, every coach and executive has some sort of life cycle. And, obviously, like, being a coach for 20 plus years like Belichick was, those days are few and far between. Tomlin's been around for a while, Harbaugh, right? But those guys have won Super Bowls. They have winning seasons virtually every year. I individually really like the hires of both Joe Douglas, especially, and Robert Saleh. So I do think the Jets, especially in the national media, get overly criticized when you can push back and say, hey, when they made these hires, did people, like, I know there's a lot of criticism of Woody, and I get it. There hasn't been a lot to defend, but when he made those hires, they were very legitimate hires. This was not hiring Adam Gase after failing in Miami. Robert Saleh was Kyle Shanahan's defensive coordinator. He was one of the hottest coaching candidates out there, right? If the Jets didn't exist, Robert Saleh would have gotten a job elsewhere, somewhere, as a head coach, period. And Joe Douglas came from Baltimore and Philadelphia. I think the Ravens, if I owned an NFL team, would be the one team that I would try to model my organization with, because they have had a lot of success over multiple decades while not having a single like individual franchise quarterback who is the reason for all of that. They went through different guys, Flacco, now Lamar, but the point is they had different quarterbacks over that. It's not like, hey, we had a dynasty and it's based on, one guy. So I say all that to say, while I like the hires, especially Joe Douglas, when that was made a couple of years ago, at some point the results have to start coming in. And I get that drafting Zach Wilson, which I would have done, which I'm guessing you probably would have done at the time.
Yep.
That's fine. So I'm not going to like crucify the guy, but very rarely does a general manager get to make that kind of mistake and survive past that unless you have something significant happen in the meantime. Maybe like signing Aaron Rodgers and year 2, everything goes well. But yes, it has to go well this season. And they're at the point, and this is one of the things I was discussing on Black Friday, I don't think Joe is some awful GM. If Joe Douglas was an awful general manager, we would not be talking about this team in the way that we have for the last 45 minutes or whatever.
No, you wouldn't have Aaron Rodgers in the first place because he wouldn't have wanted to play for the Jets.
Correct. They have a lot of talent on this team. Everybody agrees they have a lot of talent. Joe Douglas has brought in basically all of that talent minus like CJ Mosley. That's it, right? So I don't think he's terrible at his job, but at some point you have to have results. And they get a pass, a mulligan in 2023. I get it. That's a very viable option. And now you see what happens in 2024. I am way more worried about the head coach than I am the general manager as far as my overall faith. But they got a mulligan last year, and I will retain cautious optimism into this season. They have a lot of talent. Now they have to get the job done.
Did you mention Adam Gase?
And Jet fans are clueless. I mean, they're dopes. They don't know anything. This is a really good hire. Gase is a great coach. Gase is a great coach. Okay, Adam Gase is Kyle Shanahan before Kyle Shanahan. Gase is a great coach.
I love that.
Now, which take do you think was better, that or this?
Forget about his vaccine and political opinions. Aaron's football IQ isn't very high. Aaron's football IQ isn't very high. Aaron's football IQ isn't very high.
Yeah, that's a weird one because I don't think even people who are down on Rodgers would use that as a critique of him. Like that.
Wait,
kind of an odd one.
You mean a guy who has won 4 MVPs and has the greatest touchdown to interception ratio in the history of the quarterback position doesn't have high football IQ? Did
Colin mean like off the field IQ? Like that seems to be spiritually what he's going for. But on the field, I don't think there's ever been a big issue with Rodgers from that standpoint. Like ever. That's a weird one.
Would you say that Rodgers is a cancer that has metastasized the Jets locker room?
This guy is a cancer that's metastasized throughout the entire building in Florham Park. And I don't know why Jets fans can't see it.
Hey, Mike, do I have cancer because Aaron Rodgers touched my shoulder last night?
I don't know. Maybe you should go in for a biopsy in like a week and check it out. I shouldn't make light. But I know this is one that you and I are probably opposed on. Like Rodgers drives me nuts off the field, but I'm cognizant enough, like as someone like you who's covered NFL teams for a while, that like in the locker room, like you have all sorts of different personalities. People can do whatever they want or say whatever they want off the field, right? But in that locker room, it's really about like what kind of teammate are you? What do you bring to the table on the field? And I don't think any of that is really an issue with Rodgers with the Jets. So that I recognize fully.
Yeah, I mean, whether you talk to guys on the record or off the record, like teammates love the guy, coaches love the guy. Like, I mean, like my biggest issue with the way Rodgers is covered is like there's a clear bias because of what he has said about either the vaccine or people don't agree with his politics or whatnot. And it's like, if you just look at what he's done as a football player with the Jets, he took a $35 million pay cut. It's the largest single pay cut in the history of team sports. He has attended every OTA, every minicamp, every training camp practice. There's not been a bad thing uttered about him by his teammates. He was voted most inspirational by his own teammates after he got hurt on the 4th play of the year because they all saw his attempt to try and come back. Like, as far as like the football aspect, it's not even like debatable that he has done everything right. He just now needs to stay healthy and play like Aaron Rodgers, and we'll get to finally benefit from what this trade was supposed to be a year ago.
Yes, I think between the pay cut He seemed like he stayed around the organization for a decent amount last season. You saw him on the sideline a lot. He seemed to support Zach Wilson as much as he, realistically could, given the situation last year. So from a football standpoint, I have no issues. And I don't get the sense at all, relative to the Candy comments, that the players in the building have any issue with him whatsoever. I have never gotten that sense.
Addison says that Chris Canty puts ranch on his ice cream. Can you confirm that, Mike?
I cannot confirm that, but that sounds revolting.
It does sound revolting. How's Pluckers in Houston? I really miss Pluckers. I was thinking about that the other night.
I know, because they're not nationwide, right?
No, I want to get plucked up again, man.
I know, because you're a member.
Yeah,
you are a member.
Well,
it's a good membership.
It's the best deal, man. I did it on Black Friday. It was $10 for a lifetime membership, and then you get a free app every time you show up. There's nothing like it.
That's a good deal. So I think your goal is come back down here at least once, but let's say twice a year to get the value off of that.
Yeah.
I think that's the move.
No, what I was thinking of doing is just come down during rodeo season, and Cody Stutes of HoustonFootball.com will get me my credentials so I can go to the rodeo for free again. And I'll stay in one of the many rooms in the Mike Meltser mansion. You won't even know I'm there.
Yes, that's fair. You always have a place to stay here. Yes.
I love it.
You always do.
I love it. Mike, where can people find you? To plug the Twitter. Obviously, you're on Mad Dog Sports Radio, but you're a national voice that is a fan of the Jets. There's not enough of people that are actually Jet fans in the national space with fair and objective takes about the team, which is why I want to highlight all the good work you do.
I appreciate it. So at Mike Meltser with an S, not a Z, on Twitter. I'm on Mad Dog Radio as well. The next show I'm doing is actually, I think, right after yours. Next Saturday, the 8th of June. I'll be on from 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Let's go, Mike. I can't wait to listen.
Fair. Are we going to do a crosstalk?
We should, right? I mean, we're allowed to do that.
We can do a crosstalk, yeah. I'll have to do some preparation early, but I'm willing to do a crosstalk with you.
I love it. Let's make it happen. They got to let us do a show together. Me and you in for dog.
That's fair. I don't know how the powers that be work, but I'm definitely supportive.
Neither I. The funniest thing is I'm now based in New York, where Sirius is, and I still don't have an access key card
to get into the building. Yes.
Yeah, it's still in the works.
Yeah, it's a different era we live in now.
It's amazing.
All the remote work. Yes.
Crazy. Mike, excellent job. Thank you for getting up early and joining us here on a Sunday.
Always appreciate it. Thank you so much, Jake.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Mike Meltser. Make sure you guys follow him at Mike Meltser. Big Jet fan, rational Jet fan, which I really respect. And Mike does an excellent, excellent job. Speaking of radio, this show won't be nearly as long as it typically is because I'm doing a national shift today on ESPN this afternoon. So listen on your local ESPN affiliate, 10:50 a.m. if you're in New York. We'll be airing the show. I'm 99% sure, but I could check that. And, of course, ESPN app. Or if you're in New York, just download the ESPN New York app. Instead of hitting 98.7, hit 10:50 a.m. and you could hear the show. Super chat from Coach James. We need to make the playoffs. As a leadership coach, I could tell you Salah needs to learn to lead the entire team, defense, offense, special teams, etc. Well, I think if you want that, James, we're seeing signs of that happening based on Rodgers' comments on Salah being more involved with the offense, even some of the observations at these OTAs on how involved it appears Salah's been with the offense. I think that's a good thing. So I'm on board with that, obviously. Omar writes in, hello, Jake from the Bay Area. Getting ready to see the Yankees here in San Fran. Let's go get the sweep. I mean, man, Yanks are rolling right now. Enjoy this run. Aaron Judge is seemingly hitting a home run every game. It's insane what he's done. The calendar flipped to June. It did not matter last night. Unreal. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Let's see what you guys are thinking. We'll get to some of your calls as well. A lot of people want in on the conversation, so let's try and rapid fire through a bunch of calls right now. And in the leadoff spot today, ladies and gentlemen, V-Man.
It's time for another V-Man call. Hopefully he no sleeping. Adios mío.
V-Man.
Hey, Jake, congrats on meeting Rodgers the other day.
You mean last night?
Yeah, I mean last night, whatever.
Thank you.
So what is he actually like up in person?
You know what the first thing he said to me was?
What?
Is V-Man sleeping?
You're kidding, right?
And I said, probably. I mean, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, Aaron.
No, I'm working at 1 o'clock in the morning.
You did the graveyard last night?
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you look pretty rested, I will say.
Well, yeah, no. I managed to get a couple minutes a bit on my break, but I'm actually pretty exhausted.
Try some rum.
No, I'm good right now. I'm good. I'm gonna be good. But I love what you were talking about with the Yankees fan. Man, it just feels so different this year for them. And I think especially because, Houston's right now in the gutter. It's the only team that seems to ever give us trouble. So, as long as they stay there and we stay where we are, I feel confident with them. But, we can get back to football. So you're going to go over to the Jets London game, right?
That's the plan.
You going to take a picture of any of the landmarks?
Yeah. What Big Ben, right? That's the name of the
Big Ben. There's
building.
the eye. You could always snap a shot with you by Abbey Road.
Oh yeah.
That's another good spot to take a picture.
You got to join me in London. Then we'll get 2 other Asmaniacs and we'll recreate the famous Beatles cover.
I wish I could go to London. I don't think I could ever manage that.
Why not?
It's not on the budget, man.
You just did Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and that's because I paid for the airfare and all the excursions, and my mother took care of we split it. I did the airfare and the excursion. She did the hotel room.
Well, we might have to start a fundraiser to get you to London, man. We already got $20. John says I'll contribute $20 for V-Man to go to London.
Yeah, I don't think you can try, but I don't know if it's gonna go anywhere.
Nick says we need an Asmaniac Beatles pick.
Oh God, are we gonna? Yeah, you're gonna have to find a Bobby. You're gonna have to find a Bobby to let you even get that section of road cleared long enough to even try to take the picture.
Have you and Bobby been on the show together ever? I can't recall a time.
No, I was referring to the English slang for cop.
I was referring to this.
Well, I have my own YouTube show. If I'm awake, I'm going live. Unless Jake has a show, Bobby.
Oh,
Bobby's got a new mic for his new show. We can't even hear it. Bobby, is it plugged in? I never thought I'd see the day. Bobby Midnight muted.
Okay, how's that better?
Yeah.
How you doing, V-Man? Never talked to you before.
No, I'm doing good. How are you?
I was wishing to talk to you. Jake finally got me to talk to you. I'm so happy.
Oh, I'm happy that you're happy.
Yeah, because you're awesome. Your grandpa's awesome. Your mom's awesome. And Linus, and what's the other dog's name is awesome?
Yeah, they're right here.
What's the other dog's name?
That's Linus, and the other one's Lucy,
Linus and Lucy, yes, they're brothers and sisters. You got it.
Yeah.
That's Charlie Brown. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, no, yeah. And then before that, my sister had a Chihuahua Terrier mix named Charlie.
You gotta be kidding, really?
Not kidding. She had, unfortunately, Charlie gave Lucy some nasty habits, including being angry at everything.
Yeah. Hey, V-Man, I want you on my show soon, okay? So you could come
on. I'll see what I can clear up in my schedule.
Whenever you're clear, tell me when you want to come on. You could talk forever, okay, like I do.
All right. Well, I'm gonna probably call it a day. So
okay, you take a nap. Hey, Jake, are you still there?
That's the end of that V-Man call. Now he can go back to sleeping.
Jake, I didn't come back good with my headphones.
Well, the headphones, I guess, weren't plugged in properly, Bobby.
Okay, I gotta check it after I finish with you. But guess what time I went to last night on my channel?
3 a.m.
No, not that long. Oh my God, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Bobby, you're becoming quite the broadcaster.
Yeah, well, guess who I had on last night? I had Gary and Alan together.
You have everyone on. I mean, it's the place to be.
And Alan still doesn't like me. And then once he said the Rangers lost, I booted his butt out. I didn't let him out for a while, so teach him a lesson once in the day. Hey, did you see that video that VR sent you? You seen it to Aaron Rodgers?
I did. It was very funny.
That was funny. And the other picture when you said, "Where's Bobby?" Who wrote that one?
I'm not sure.
There's another picture. Where's Bobby and something else?
There was a caption contest for my photo with Aaron, which was pretty funny.
Oh, I gotcha. I would love to go to London, but I can't afford that. But I want you to I want to call in your show at 1 o'clock today. Right? You go live.
1 to 4. Yep.
And who's the back? Do you know who gets you on? Because Anthony did good yesterday.
Mark is the name of my producer, so you'll talk with him. I
Okay,
don't know if
think
we're doing
I meant-
calls though, Bobby. So be aware.
You're not doing calls?
I'm not sure. Mad Dog, I do a lot of calls. ESPN with a co-host is a little different.
All right. So if you go on there, I'll just put on my show so everybody can come on and talk.
Of course. When are you not live these days, Bobby?
Well, I go after your show. But after I'm telling you, like there's nothing on today, so I could go on for a long time if they want.
Bobby, are you aware that there's now a game that's sweeping the nation involving you?
What?
So this was sent to me last night, so I'm going to pull it up
Oh,
on the
from
screen
Gator?
here. No, it's not. It's actually not from Gators. So there's this new game. It's called Bobby Midnight Bingo. And
yes, yeah, we played that on my midnight show yesterday.
Really?
And we got a whatchamacallit, diagonal because I said a lot of stuff last night. Yeah.
Well, let's take a look. All right.
Yeah, that's funny, isn't that? Oh,
hold
my
on.
God.
Let me pull it up
Mike,
for the people here.
Mike made that up. I started dying, cracking up. It was crazy.
I have to pull it up so everyone can see.
Fine, no problem.
All right, stand by.
Mike did it last night, so it was crazy.
It's a game show the likes of which we have never quite seen before. Bobby Midnight Bingo. All right, here it is.
It's crazy. It's funny.
Let's go full screen.
Yeah, it's crazy. You guys get a lot of people saw it at Midnight Mike's system.
Midnight Mike is the one who made it. Shout out to him. Great Jet content creator.
Yeah, I died laughing when I saw this.
And I feel like we might already have a bingo here. You were waving off air.
Yeah.
You already mentioned Allen. Let's see. We already got the star. You've said my name already. Yeah. We're probably close to a bingo here. We'll definitely get there by the end of the show.
The other way. We had it. Who's coming on next? Guess what? Hi, Waving, and let me see your dog. Because Maddie has a dog. His co-host. Yeah, so we had a good time last night. Then as soon as he finished, I went to my show, 11 to 1.
Man.
And then I went to Paul Green's. I had to give him love this morning.
Are you ever going to learn his actual name, Bobby?
Paul Green, right?
Boy Green.
Boy Green. Well, his real name is first Paul.
Right. So his real name is Paul Esden, but
Paul Esden, like his dad. He's a senior, and I'm a junior too.
Are you? Wait a second. Your name is Bobby Midnight Jr.?
Well, Robert Woodruff Jr. But I don't have a middle name.
You don't have a middle name.
They used to call me Woody.
I love that.
Yeah, Woody. Yeah, and then
any relation to Woody Johnson?
What?
Any relation to Woody Johnson? No.
No.
All right.
So I hope you have a good show today on ESPN. You always do good anyway.
Thanks, Bobby. I appreciate that. I hope you have a good show on your channel.
Okay, are you on tomorrow?
Yes.
10 o'clock?
Roughly.
Who's your guest? Anybody special?
Big surprise.
Oh, you usually go by Monday, Tuesday. I hope you get that other guy from Las Vegas soon.
What about Aaron Rodgers, Bobby? Should I get him on the show after I met him last night?
Yeah, if he wants to come on, then I get to talk to him, right?
Yeah, he actually said to me last night, he goes, Bobby Midnight's electric.
He did not, really. Are you kidding me?
He's a big fan of yours. He actually told me he was wearing the Yankee hat as an ode to you.
You sure he said that, really?
I'm not.
Well, I love the Yankees and the Jets, and to read the super chats are more than just a hat. Bobby.
Excellent call from our guy, Bobby Midnight. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Mike Meltser from Mad Dog Radio, big Jet fan, joined us for the first 45 minutes of the show. If you tuned in late, Aaron, super chat, cuts the line, less than 100 days until GD. Let's just win, baby. I like the idea of the Jets winning games. I'm on board with that philosophy. It is time. Knob Deep writes in, what did Rodgers smell like? Like rich mahogany. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the line right now, and we're moving her to the front of the line because that's our new policy. If you're a part of the 4% female demographic, you don't have to wait online very long. Jenner G, up next on the program. Hello, Jenner G.
What up? Hey, good morning to the baddies, the 4% Club. Congrats to Aurora. I need to know, you got to give the whole story about meeting Aaron. Like, I don't know if I missed it in the very beginning. Like, you got to say, I saw him across the way. I took a picture of him because I was watching the Discord. So we got to hear everything. Spill the tea. Spill the tea. Let's go.
Yeah. Well,
What do you say?
I wish it was like a better, like, epic story. Like the truth is, it was at the end of the night after the last fight had ended. It was like a madhouse. Everyone was leaving. He was rushing to get out, and like I had saw him, and I like seeked him out and quickly ran up to him, and like we spoke for like a couple of minutes. I don't want to reveal everything that was said, just out of like respect to the conversation, but he was awesome, man. Yeah, I told him obviously I do the show. I don't know if he knew who I was or anything like that, but he was cool. You know, I just talked about. I did tell him, please, for the love of God, stay healthy, and he laughed at that. And then we took the picture, and it was cool. I'm hoping that's not. I'll put it like this. I'm hoping that's not the last time I meet him.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that was amazing. I was like, we literally have Aaron friggin' Rodgers.
It was awesome. There was a great story I could tell. I don't know how many people are actually going to believe me, but you could ask my buddy Matt Siegel, who runs the L5 tailgate. I texted him this right after it happened. So, like, I'm not making this up. So where I was sitting, Rodgers was like directly across from me. And there was a moment in between the fights where he was standing and I was standing. And like, he saw me and I pointed at the Hugo House hat, and like his face lit up and smiled, and he gave me like the point. So like that was the first time he saw me. So it was like less weird afterwards when I like went up to him to quickly say hello. Like he was trying to get out of there because like it was mobbed, and we were like right in the tunnel where like all the madness was happening. So it was quick. I also didn't want to be like that fanboy and take too much of his time, but it was cool. He was very nice, and I appreciated his time and the selfie. It was awesome.
Yes, because we got to get him on the show. That's the next goal.
We need that.
The next goal. The only other thing was I had to say, Darius Rucker, what's up with Hootie and the Blowfish? So these guys that have these outrageous, lazy takes about the Jets, because we're so tired of being the freaking punching bag for the NFL, they need to stop. So Darius, Shavarius, they all have these obnoxious sounding names. I just realized, I was like, really? Like, Miami, what are you talking about? You guys haven't done anything in decades. Like, shut up. They need to just be quiet.
That's what annoyed me the most about Darius Rucker. I'll put that video out for everyone either later today or tomorrow. If you're a channel member, you got a bonus show yesterday, so check that out. Patreon members as well. The arrogance from the Dolphin fan is out of control.
Yeah.
They have not won a playoff game since Bill Clinton was the president of the United States. Enough said.
Yeah. Yeah, they're ridiculous. It's getting crazy. And the only other thing was I wanted to say, Carly, Leanie, Aurora, the 4%, that's going to be 5%. We've decided, well, I've kind of decided, I put it in the chat. We're going to be making the business decisions in the front office, and the GM is Connie Carberg.
Connie just celebrated a big birthday. Her, Joe Namath, Brees Hall. We love Connie.
Yeah. A lot of amazing things happening. So I just wanted to pop in and be like, we need to know about Aaron Rodgers and say hi to everyone. And I can't wait to meet everybody. I want to go to that Halloween game and hopefully the home opener for my first Jets game.
We got you down for the Halloween game. Don't worry. Your ticket will be reserved, Genergy. Yes. We got you.
Let's go.
I love it. Great call.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Genergy representing the 4%. The day that the demographic turns to 5% will be a big day. Love that. Fellas, your significant others, your wives, girlfriends, tell them to join the program. NY Jets Talk. It's our guy Connor who writes in. Hey, Jake, thanks for taking my call yesterday on Mad Dog Radio. Hope the fight was a blast. When's Aaron coming on the show? Stay tuned, baby. As far as your call yesterday, Connor, excellent job. You might be 12 years old, but you are better than most of my callers on any of my platforms. So I appreciate you, man. Keep calling. I'll always take your call on any of my shows. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is a postseason legend in New York City. Daniel Murphy joins us now. What's up, Murph?
What's going on, Jake? How you doing today, bud?
What's up, man? How are you?
All good. Just a lazy Sunday morning. But one thing I wanted to, before I start the Jets takes, Alan, appreciate you saying I'm a nice guy and all, but I do think that I've earned the fact to be on the Asmaniac team. I've supported Jake since, I don't know, 7,000 or 8,000 subscribers, since way before the Shadow Realm. Super chat. I don't call in as much as a lot of other guys, but pretty busy guy. Myself, I work 60 plus hours a week, try to go to the gym, take care of my kid. So anyway, plus I'm just saying you probably haven't even touched NFL combine weight in your life. So we got to get some athleticism on the team. I'm just saying. But anyway, no more shots at Al. I'm done with that. As far as I wanted to touch on the Robert Saleh thing, I think it's actually like a really good thing having him in the room. Like you have to have like a defensive mind that can counter the ideas and concepts that you're coming up with in the room, because sometimes you can become too tunnel visioned, you know? So if you have somebody that's like, well, wait a second, that doesn't work because all I have to do is do this from a defensive perspective, and it can counter that easily, you know? It's just things like that. I think that can help a lot in a room, really. And I think just the fact that Robert Saleh is doing that is like, it's just a big step in like his head coaching career, like showing that he can not just be strictly defense or strictly just you know, like he has to be able to oversee all facets of the team. And that's something that like the greats, like I hate to even say it, Bill Belichick and them do. Like if they have to, they dip their toes in the waters of the other side of the ball, and they make the adjustments that need to be made. So I think that I think that's a really, really good thing having Salah in there. I think some people are downplaying it a little too much. I'm not going to say it's going to be a huge game changer. The biggest game changer is Aaron Rodgers coming back, because if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have shit. Excuse my language, but
no, it's true though. It's not a bad thing. I don't know if it's gonna like be something we look at and go, "Yep, that's why they finally have a really good offense." But like, Salah's job is on the line, so like he should be doing everything possible to try and help this team win. And I think there's value in him being in the meeting room from a defensive standpoint, saying, "Hey, this is what I see they do. This is what I would expect." Like, I think that's helpful for Aaron Rodgers. You could say whatever you want about Robert Saleh as a head coach. There's no question he's an elite defensive mind.
Yeah, and that's the kind of guy that you want to kind of bounce points off of and ideas off of in the offensive room too. So, but yeah, and then aside from that, like I've really thought about it heavy, and I've tried not to get too positive with the season and stuff, because you know we're all battered Jets fans and everything. But I just don't see us losing. I don't see us not winning the division. Like I can't see it. Like the Bills and Dolphins are worse than they were a year ago. Like and we are better. I mean, you go 7-10 and you get Hall of Fame quarterback added to it. I mean, how do we not get better? I just don't see it. I think we're winning the division for sure.
Injuries, man. Injuries, health. Well, I mean, that's everything.
Yeah. Yeah, but that goes for everybody. Like you say, it goes for every team, you know? Patrick Mahomes might go down week 1, and then we'll have a whole different NFL next year if that happens.
Yeah. So, you know, we saw Aaron Rodgers go down week 1. Like, you know, it's a war of attrition, man. I mean, I root for the Knicks. Like they might be playing right now if they didn't lose their entire team. Like it's hard to win if you lose so many guys. And in football, if you lose your quarterback, you're cooked. You have no chance.
That's got to be a New York thing, I swear. Like the injuries, because I didn't really watch basketball, but I kind of jumped on the Knicks bandwagon. Being a WVU guy, I wanted McBride to do well. Yeah. But I kind of started following in on the playoffs and stuff like that, and they were a fun team to watch. And Brunson, my God, that guy is he puts it all out there. But man, just the injuries is crazy. It's got to be a New York thing. Are we plagued, Jake?
Feels like it. I mean, you know, it's hard to win a championship, man. It really is. I mean, you know, the Rangers were the President's Cup winner in hockey. They got bounced last night. Like, it's hard. You know, a New York team has not won a title since, you know, I know NYFC, I guess, a couple of years ago, but it's soccer. You know, a major sport in New York has not won a title since 2011. You know, that's 15 years ago already.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully it all changes around for us this season. We'll be rooting it on. I'm definitely going to the Pitt game.
I mean, Murph, you know how hard it is. You had one of the greatest postseasons ever, and then, you know, you play the Royals in the World Series. You lost in 5. It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. We partied too much the night before.
There you go. The real story from Daniel Murphy. I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Yep. See you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Murph, a member of the team, despite what anyone says. He belongs on the Asmaniac, all 22. Hit the like button if you tuned in right now. Folks, get your officially licensed Jets gear. You want to wear the hat or buy the hat, I should say, that I'm wearing? Fanatics right down below. Check it out. Get yourself a bunch of jerseys. Get yourself hats, T-shirts, you name it. Fanatics, officially licensed NFL gear, including the hat I am wearing right now. All right, what I want to do is get to as many calls as possible. I'm on ESPN in 90 minutes, so we have a pre-show meeting in just a bit. So I got a rapid fire, so please make your points quick so we can try and get to everyone. B-Mac, first up in the rapid fire segment of the show. What's up, B-Mac?
Hey, Jake. Good. Make it a quick one because I know you got to roll. But I want to say, before I credit you for being Rodgers. I just want to say that shout out to all my lovely ladies, Carly, you know what I mean, Jenna G, and Aurora, you know what I mean. You know, I'm a big ladies fan. I love all my ladies. So, and then I want to let you know that I'm so jealous that you get to meet AR8 last night. Very cool. I wish that
he wore the Yankee hat for you, B-Mac. You and Bobby Midnight.
Twice he did that at the game and last night. So
that's right.
You know. And did you ask him? If the Jets win the Super Bowl, would you do ayahuasca and go on a darkness retreat with him?
I did not ask him that. No. I'll save that for when he comes on the show.
All right. Well, that's it. Love you, Jake.
B-Mac, we love you as well. Great call. Purple Belt Mike next up on the show. But wait, Mike, stand by. He has done it again. It is a D's Nuts alert, baby. Yeah, baby.
Bang! Thank you, Mike D's Nuts, for another gifted membership.
You know what they say, D's Nuts on a Sunday. There's nothing like it. Folks, if you want another channel emoji, we're going to get there. We're now 134 members away from the 33rd emoji being added. Imanin, Mark Ellis, Miguel Blanco, Kamel Remy, Asenku 11K, David Dean, Camoto Harris, what a name, Kenneth Duffy, Steve Badamo, Nikkei. You are all officially as maniacs. Welcome to the club. Shout out to Mike D's Nuts for the generous donation. All right, back to the calls. Here we go. Purple Belt Mike, what's up, man?
Yo, I apologize if I didn't if you answered this already, because I woke up a little while ago. But if you could touch on a little bit of what you and Aaron Rodgers talked about, and sorry for the Ranger fans, but 83 out of 84, baby.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm not shedding any tears. Yeah, I covered it at the beginning, Mike. So just to save time, I'd say just rewind towards the beginning of the show and then go to Genergy's call. I told a good story about that too.
Cool. And real quick, because I don't think we're going to be able to sign Reed, Sauce, and Carter. So how important do you think the development of Stiggers is going to be? Because chances are Reed is the odd man out.
Yeah, I think it's huge, right? Because I think it is probably tough to keep all three of those guys. So you're going to need to draft and develop. And if Stiggers could prove that he's worthy of maybe being a starter a year from now, that's obviously a home run pick in the 5th round.
Thanks, Jake. Love you, brother.
Mike, appreciate you. All right, more calls right now. Johnny on the line, but it doesn't look like Johnny is there. Redog? Hello, Redog.
How you doing?
Hello.
Redog.
I have a question for you, Jake. Are you going to go to the home opener game?
Redog, I will be there.
Yay.
Will you be there?
Yes.
Let's go.
It says Ride Dog.
It says Ride Dog.
Oh, Ride Dog. Ride Dog. Is that your nickname? I love it. It's a great nickname.
She's being shy because she wants to meet you, like I was telling you, bro. So
yeah,
she had like a whole bunch of questions to ask, but she just froze. So it's
that's okay.
But
to ask Ride Dog if she'll do a Jet chant for us.
Yeah.
Jets, 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 Jets.
Let's go, Ride Dog.
Appreciate you, bro.
Love it. Great call, Johnny and Ride Dog. We love it. Dude, we're gaining in the female demographic today, folks. We're going to be at 5% in no time. Love it. Great call. Love that. Can't wait to meet you. Rye Dog and Johnny. That's going to be a lot of fun. Jason in Jerusalem up next on the show. What's up, Jason?
If you think the Rangers suck, clap your hands. If you think the Rangers suck, clap your hands. If you think the Rangers suck, another 50 without the cup. If you think the Rangers suck, clap your hands.
Sorry, I don't like to dance on people's graves, like even though I don't like the Rangers, but that's too funny to not participate.
Maybe we could chant 2040. Maybe that's the next time.
I'm not complaining. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, once my team gets eliminated, basically whoever beats the Rangers, whoever beats the Bruins, that's how it goes.
Yeah, and it wasn't the Hurricanes, which made it even more sweet.
That's true, too.
All right. Rapid fire away, Jake.
I love it. It looks like you got a special guest behind you.
Yeah, he already called in. The youngest ass maniac until Rye Dog called in.
I love it. How old is he?
8.
8? Yeah, I love it. Great job.
Getting the kid demographic in now.
Yeah, we're touching all aspects of the audience, Jason. I love it. All right. In sports radio, the target demo is 25 to 54 male. I've always thought that's so silly because I've listened to more sports radio than most people on the planet since I was like 8. And I never would count in the ratings demographic, which doesn't make any sense. And women don't count. Anyone older, 55 or older, doesn't count. It makes no sense. That's what I love about YouTube. I don't care who you are. Just tune in. All right. George, up next on our show. What's up, George?
Hey, what's up, Jake? I was wondering.
George.
Hey, my friends call me Big G. They
don't call you Lane Train?
No, they call me Big G, and they want to pick me because they're scared they're like, oh, I'll just pick George. He won't break my arm. I play defensive tackle, and I bust through the line. I just throw people out of the way. So I'm also play tight end, and I working on like the pass that Aaron Rodgers does, like used to do to Jordy Nelson. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like undefensible. I was wondering if who's going to be at the 49er game.
I heard Knoble's going to be there.
Is Bonesy going to be there? I like to meet Bonesy.
I don't think Bonesy will be in San Fran.
Hmm.
I think Knoble will be there.
Do you know any Asmaniacs that will be there?
I think I do. I have to check the Discord. Are you a Patreon user, George?
No, I got a bunch of stuff I gotta take care of, and then I eventually want to be one, but I can't do it right now. I gotta take care of a bunch of debt.
Well, I'll tell you what. Message me off air. I got your first 3 months covered. All right.
Okay.
All right, George. Thank you. George or Lane Train? We'll never know. What we really need to have him do is say Bruce Hall next time he calls him.
Bruce Hall.
All right, one last call. Then it's time to wrap. Ladies and gentlemen, Keanu, a.k.a. Keanu, joins the show. What's up, Keanu?
There you go. Hey, I don't really have any points to make. I'm just curious because obviously there was 2 big political candidates at the event last night.
Yeah.
Who got the louder cheers, the louder, welcome to the arena? Was it Donald Trump or Aaron Rodgers?
Without question, it was Trump. It was insane,
really,
bro. Dude. It was nuts. Like it was.
That's crazy.
It was one of the loudest ovations I've ever heard for anything. I mean,
yes.
That's why he goes to every UFC event, man. He's beloved anytime he's there. Like it's and all the fighters go up to him too, for the most part, after all their fights too. Yeah, it was nuts. Aaron was a row behind Trump to his left, and I was right in front of it. So like. I had like the shout out to the UFC. I can't say enough. Shout out to everyone there. They take such good care of me every time. I mean, last night, my seats were next to Mike the Situation and Vinny from the Jersey Shore. Like
That's
it
awesome.
was. In fact, I lent Mike the Situation, like he needed a phone charger, and I offered my phone charger. That's how close I was to him last
That's
night.
awesome.
Shout out to Hunter who had the portable charger who I was with. who hooked him up. But like it's like the UFC is awesome, man. It's such a fun environment.
Yeah, I saw Rodgers was with Mercedes Lewis. Did he get a loud ovation too? Because I know they were in Jersey. Probably a lot of Jet fans there. Did he get a big roar too?
Yes, he got cheered. But I mean, no one got a bigger ovation than Trump.
UFC is like a Knicks game, man. There's just so many celebrities. They show so many guys on the screen. It's awesome. But it was funny because on the broadcast, they started chanting, "You know what?" after Trump came out, and Joe Rogan like alluded to it. He was like, "I wonder what they're chanting right now. Do you guys know what they're chanting?"
Well, you want a story on that? So where I was, like, I could like see Trump's facial expressions, right? So when the F Joe Biden chant started, Trump's son, I forgot, I don't follow this stuff, but whichever son was there, sitting like right behind him, started like to smirk and hear, and like then like you could actually see in real time Trump realize what they were chanting too, and then like he went like this, and then you could hear it in the first fight, the Randy Brown fight. The crowd just goes nuts. So yeah, it was fun. It was a great environment for the fights, and obviously the last fight of the night. I mean, shout out to Dustin. He did everything possible.
Islam is so incredible, man.
Islam is just, I mean, he's an all-time great. What are you gonna do? I mean, I thought Dustin had a chance, man. He made it a real fight. Like he survived the first round where he was basically like on life support from the Islam takedown, and I mean, it just Dustin's probably one of the greatest fighters to not have won a belt. Like that's his career.
You could tell he was fighting for something last night. You know, he had his daughter in the crowd. You could tell he was emotional after the loss, but it was a really good event. I followed your parlay with Brown and Poirier, and then I cashed out before the Poirier fight. As much as I was rooting for him, man, I think we all knew what was coming.
Yeah, that's why it was only $10 if you saw.
Right. Well, I made some bank on the fights, man. Your seats were awesome. They really hooked you up. You were essentially ringside, so that's awesome.
Dude, it was me, Mike the Situation, Vinny, and Chris Fowler from ESPN, like side by. It was, dude. It's like I have such imposter syndrome when I go to these things, man. It was a blast. It was awesome.
I was following through the Discord, seeing all the pictures and everything you were putting.
I had no service. I was trying to post pictures of like Rodgers and Trump and Carly Lloyd's right by me and like all the other like, celebrities.
I saw
David Njoku was a row in front of me. I'm like, you killed the Jets.
TJ Mosley's son. Yeah.
I was like, they didn't put sauce on you until the game was over. Right. He laughed. Like I had all these great moments, but like I couldn't I had no service. I couldn't get anything to post.
That's awesome. I don't know if you saw my message in the Discord, but did you happen to tell him about the Vegas trip when you were looking for him in the steakhouse?
Bonesy texted me. He's like, "Did you tell Aaron that story?" I should have led with that. I didn't. I have a lot of. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have a lot of regrets about the combo with that. Like there was just too many things I wanted to say, and I didn't have enough time because he was leaving and it was chaotic. It was crazy leaving there.
I'm sure you pictured what it would be like to meet Aaron and what you would say, and then once you're there with him, you get all flustered.
Yeah, I'm like, so,
right, right.
Not easy,
awesome, man.
You know, I did the best I could though. Aaron was awesome though. I appreciate him taking the picture.
That's so cool, man. It looked like you had a hell of a time. I wanted to go to the event because it was in Jersey, but I'll tell you what, man, the ticket prices for those events are not cheap, man.
Yeah, they're insane. They're insane to sit all the way up, man. That's why, that's why the crowd is so good because, it's just like the real diehards like support UFC. It's awesome.
Yep, it was awesome, man. But have a good day. I'm gonna call into your show probably. So, glad you got to meet Aaron last night. That's awesome. Literally everyone in the Discord was glazing it because like we'll never get to meet Aaron probably. That's so cool, man.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thanks, Keanu. Great call. Yeah, I just saw. I think Hawk had this comment here. This was me trying to utter words to to Aaron last night.
Did somebody say Brock Bowers?
Love the Jets. Stay healthy. That was my combo. Just kidding, but not that far off. All right. Thanks to Mike Meltser, who came on the show. A lot of fun. Big thank you to everyone who gifted channel memberships. Even you, Alan, spending $100 for your fellow Asmaniacs. You might be a dirtbag sometimes, but no one could say that you're cheap. So we appreciate it. All right. Hit the like button on your way out here. Once again, please join the Patreon. If you want more behind-the-scenes content from last night's UFC event, it's in the Discord, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. You have to let me know by the end of today if you want to go to Jets Texans with our group discount rate. We got to tell the Jets early this week how many people are going, and then I'll reach out to everyone who wanted the ticket on how you could send me a Zelle or a Venmo for the payment situation. So appreciate everyone for their support. My name is Jake Asman. This has been the Jake Asman Show. Thanks again to everyone who tuned in. And of course, I will be back tomorrow with another week of live programming. Got some big time guests that we are working on. Shout out to everyone who tuned in to all the shows this week. I'm on ESPN Radio today, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. So tune in on your local affiliate, Sirius XM Channel 80. If you're in New York, 10:50 a.m. or just download the ESPN New York app and hit the 1050 option as opposed to the 98.7 option. All right. That just about covers it, but we're not done. Super chat at the buzzer. Daniel Murphy. Thank you, brother. Appreciate the weekend shows. Got you, man. Got you. All right. Now we're actually done. I can't talk any longer. I have to go work 3 hours. Talk to you guys soon. In the words of Aaron Rodgers, Jet fans, you guys are the greatest.
I do love that about Jets fans. You know what I mean? They care so damn much. And this has been a shit season for sure. But we will be back.
Hell yeah.